Hey, hello again, fans, friends, family. Here we are at Bob's Barn Workshop. Today we're going to visit this project that I haven't done too much with lately. My mini bike. I'm getting ready for a ATV trip ride to North Carolina with the Cars and Cameras guys for Mini Mayhem of spring of 2019. And they do a lot of long range riding, so I ordered a 3/4 gallon auxiliary tank, and of course that will just seat perfectly right here on my frame. And that's not so much the problem. Maybe I'll put it right there. The problem being running the fuel lines down and tying it into this. But first I got to get the fuel out of this tank. So let's work on doing that. And I just happen to have my handy dandy siphon pump. I'm working on 3 other projects here in the, oh shoot, they're all full. All right, well hold on. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with this extra gas. All right, so we're back. And we have this handy dandy siphon pump. And I need to get the filter out of here, which is always a pain. Filter basket, whatever you want to call it. Ugh. Come on. Alright. And if you're familiar with siphon action, you'll know that once you get this full, it should, come on, flow by itself. The problem is I can't get the air out of the tube. Come on. There we go. See if I can pump it all the way up to the top now. There we go. See, she's getting full all the way. Now when we tip it down, it'll keep running. My dad showed me that one time when we had a small boat that was full of water on the trailer from rain. I thought that was the most miraculous thing I ever saw. She should drain out of here pretty quick because there's maybe a gallon in here. I want to get this fuel line off and see if I need to loosen the tank up and run a new piece of line or what I actually need to do. There, she's done already. Alright. I'm still going to get a little out the bottom, but that can't be helped. I got the door open here to let the fuel out. My furnace is running. That doesn't make much sense, but turn the furnace down. It's 50 degrees outside today finally. So we finally got a nice day. Let's see if I can get that off from there. Where's the person on check? Got my Leonard Skinner tickets for July this year. Looking forward to that. Playing at the local outdoor venue where they have lots of great bands. Saw Deep Purple there last year. Santana. I'm a musician, so it's all relevant to me. See how much of this gas we can run all over the floor. Oh, not much. Alright. Now, I've got a T. I was going to get rid of most of this throttle crap anyway. And right now I've just got the governor spring jumped a little bit with I put that fuel line down through there. And see, I really like to, sounds crazy, but run this up. But I got to keep it away from there, so maybe I'll put the T right there. I can't, I got to put the valve first. That's alright. They sent me this really nice bunch of clips. And I also got an auxiliary filter I'd like to put in here. And that's got to go back in here. So I got a loop-de-doo it around here somewhere. I had a T right here a second ago. Of course I can't find that either. I'm good at losing stuff. What I'm doing right now is taking off the gas tank. I guess that's the only way I'm gonna do it. So there's two studs on the front here with disturbed thread nuts on the studs to keep them from vibrating off. And you can see they're the kind that have the built-in washer. And make sure you keep a box or something to put all your little parts in, because you know darn well you're gonna lose them. I think, therefore I think I need to take off the throttle assembly here, which looks like a little 8mm, which I have a little 8mm wrench here, and I hope it's strong enough to turn these, because they look kind of tight. I probably ought to get a socket on them. I put blue Loctite on these, see what happens when you're efficient and all that. If I take this throttle out of the way, I can get that nut off. So okay, I gotta go get a socket wrench. Alrighty, got myself a nifty little ratchet set here with my 8mm socket. Of course it's in the backward mode. Come on, baby, there we go. I'm hoping I can just push this assembly aside without disconnecting everything. Maybe while I'm under here I'll disconnect the linkage altogether, though. I see a lot of guys do that. So you don't even have a governor, which doesn't sound that horrid. I don't plan on railing this thing too much. Alright. So this base has to come off so I can get the gas tank off. I know I'm showing this real time. I'm not doing a lot of shortcutting and speeding up and crappy sounding music in the background or anything. No goofy music. Okay, so it looks like it's just that one left. I got the two on the front. The fuel line, okay, the fuel line, the fuel line is right under there. I gotta get rid of the extension. That breeze is a little chilly though. Maybe I'll close that door, side door. I like to put blue Loctite on everything when I reassemble it, because these things, of course, are going to vibrate. The last thing I want is it vibrating apart in the middle of nowhere. So again, I'm putting there's a longer bolt in the back. I got to recall that. Alright. We'll take these off the studs. Let's see where that fuel line comes out. Now you can't go uphill with a fuel line with a caveat of a big if. And the if is if you loop it around and back down, it'll take some pressure to get it started going through the loop, just like that siphon I showed you there we were playing with at the beginning. But that comes right by there. I could loop it out the back. I don't know. Let me get this clamp off so it's easier to work with. See, it came through under there, like so. Let me look on the other side. I don't know if I can look forward. Oh, all that governor assembly is under there. That's all you got to do to this. See, this loops over here and loops back to the throttle. And I'd have to figure out some way. Now I've seen guys take this lever and drill a hole right here. And put that throttle thing right there and get rid of this altogether. What do you think? Have we got enough guts? I'm not going to tear the rod out right now. I'm just going to loosen it up. But you still got to have this plate. You just drill a hole in this rod right here. Make sure you get enough motion. It don't take a lot of motion to do that, so you want the hole close. You can put it from right there and just come over, up, over, up, over, up. Put that little spring back on there, because that's there just to keep the throttle from bouncing around too much and chattering. If I could get rid of this, I'd be money ahead, as they say. Alright. I'm not going to destroy anything, so I can put this back if I have to. Alright, now you get you a big screwdriver in there. Because you got to pry that apart enough to get it up off the shaft. So, and you just leave that alone. That's going to go back and forth on its own. Alright. I'm getting gutsy here, guys. I'm getting gutsy. The reason they take the internal parts out is because they're afraid they're going to fall through and get tangled up in the motor. I just want that out of the way so I can run my fuel line. And I think I can take the fuel line and arc it around like that and bring it out here. Like that. Or maybe not. Crap. Well, I got thinner fuel line anyway, so this guy's got to go. Let's see what that barb looks like. Alright, it's a plastic barb. The problem is I think maybe my fuel line that I got is too big. Which seems to be easily the case, as it's way too big. But I do have smaller stuff. It should be more flexible. There we go. Now let's see. This can be rounded. Let's see here. Let's see if I bring it up there. The first thing I got to do is put my petcock. My pet what? I don't know if my petcock will fit on this, so I might need to get smaller fuel lines. Yeah. All right. Well, this ain't gonna work today. I gotta get smaller fuel line. 3/16 I guess it is. This kit's no good. Anybody want a 1/4" fuel line and shut off? Filter? Good for a generator. Alright, that's done for today. Okay, boys and girls, while you were out, I fiddled with this a little more. I can't do anything with the gas tank right now, but I did take the gas tank off. I took off the return arm from the governor arm coming out of the engine, so it's going to do its thing for no reason. And how I ended up doing that is I took the original rod off from the throttle butterfly here. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. The original rod for the butterfly went in here and linked over to the arm underneath the gas tank. I saw other guys do it this way. I took all that linkage off, went with the original plate. Now you gotta loosen this up enough so it moves freely. That's the return spring right there. Brings it back to idle for you. I replaced it with a piece of TIG rod. So all I did is drilled this hole in this arm. And you can see it comes back. It could come back even a little farther before it comes up against the rest. But this throttle idle speed stops the throttle plate right there. And that rod goes directly right to the throttle. And that TIG rod fits nice and tight, so there's like little or no flop in this. We don't have any issues with vibration changing the throttle setting. And I got it hooked back up. So now I got full throttle, no governor. Now, eventually I'll pull this engine off when I get time, when I get back from Busco Beach. And I'll open it up and take the governor parts out because they could fly apart and cause some problems. And you have to, for higher RPMs, you have to put heavier valve springs. You'll get valve flow. I am going to buy a header to put on this. I just have to measure the clearance. There's 2 of them out there. One of them is a certain height from the frame, and the next one's a little farther for more clearance. And so I'll be putting that one on. But for right now, bypassing the governor, she works great. That's the simplest way to do it right there. One straight rod, drill a hole. This return spring will work. If you're a little leery about that, you can add another spring, but you got to make sure it's soft enough that it doesn't give. The springs that came on the throttle are so stiff that, well, the one that came on the original throttle rod, which I didn't want to mess up, the original throttle rod, linkage rod, and you can see the Z-bends in the end, and that's exactly what I did with this. The one going into the throttle plate has a little bit less than 90 degree on it that drops into the hole. Now I had to take some sandpaper and a file to that throttle, that TIG rod. It's a little bit bigger than this, and I didn't want to drill out the throttle plate in case I ever wanted to go back. So I actually filed down the diameter of the TIG rod. So where just where it drops into the throttle plate. And I drilled a hole here with very little clearance. But this one is so stiff that I'm afraid to use it now. If you found a place to put it that didn't pull through, I guess you could put a sheet metal screw into your thingy do here somewhere. But it would be nice to have another return spring on this. I guess I could hook it under here. Oh, look at there. See, that's just so tight. I can barely pull it. And I think this little one is just too wimpy. I guess it would be good to have something on there though, wouldn't it? What I'm going to do is I'm going to hook this one right under here. Like so. And stick it into the engine here. There's a hole. Alright, I can hardly feel that, but that'll give me a little bit more assurance. I just hooked it into the the air vent hole here and hooked it into the bottom of that Z-bend. Alright, well it gives me enough, a little extra, I can hardly feel it. Now I got 2 springs on, just in case this little one here fails. She comes back to idle. This one has a lot more leverage. Alright guys, what do you think? There, I started up. Alright. Oh, that's already loose. I keep cranking on that. I don't know if I can get this in there. I think I'm just gonna hand pump a little from this in there. I don't want to fill it way up anyway. Alright, that should be plenty. Just for a test run. Now the other trick is, guys, if you've been experimenting with the engine and the throttle and all that, just don't straddle it and pull the cord, because she could send you for across the yard and into the neighbor's house or into the barbed wire or whatever. So I've got this up against these barrels here. Now this thing used to start on the first pull. Choke is right there. I can see the throttle plate is all the way closed. Oh great, phone's ringing. Okay. Oh, I got my fuel off. She's got no fuel. Choke is on. Spark plug on? Okay. Come on, baby. Gonna back you up just a little bit. Alright, I just had to let her set a couple minutes and let the carburetor fill up with fuel. She's not racing, obviously, so see if she goes. That's it for today, guys. I'm going to have to put the gas tank, and I got to order 3/16 fuel line next time. Where's the dang shut off? Oh. I've got to order a 3/16 fuel line kit. I ordered a 1/4 inch, and the fittings are too big for the gas tank and the carburetor. So before I can put my my little tank on, I'm going to have to get a 3/16 lines. But other than that, we're ready to rock. This thing is very touchy. The throttle is real quick to respond now with that direct connection. I wish I had a way to reduce the leverage that it had, which would require a longer arm or shortening the pivot point back up on this throttle linkage, but then that makes that, I guess I can do that. If I move the pivot point on that arm where I drilled the hole farther back in, it'll move less distance and therefore make it a little bit less touchy to going right to full throttle or whatever. So, but all I gotta do is get used to it. That's all there really is to it. Alright guys. Bonjour. I'm going to France in May. Bienvenue. See you later. Take care. God bless.